Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Hanging Out with Temi on Hanging Out with Temi. My name is Temi Ajayi, and it's always an honor to see the ladies. How are you ladies doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you going, Temi?
I'm fantastic. Very good. I'm really good, and it's a privilege to be here today and to showcase our insights and to share and to listen with our audience. So it's an honor. Liz Greatness, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well as well. Thank you very much for asking. It has been a wonderful week. So it's a beautiful day, and even better, we're talking authenticity.
Yes.
Even better, we're talking authenticity. So I thought you were going to be talking about what you've been watching this week.
Yeah, I mean that has been the cherry on the cake. Really, it brought a different flavor into the week. So Trump has been keeping us on our toes. Really, I mean it's a beautiful thing to watch, to see how he's dealing with it. Really,
Yeah.
Somehow we're getting introduced to who he really is. I remember he said he doesn't like losing.
Yeah, he says if he's going to lose at all, he says he's not going to lose to Sleepy Biden, not that one. And he says if he loses, he says he's going to move country or move town or something. So we watch.
Wow.
Yeah, so we watch where he's going to move to. He's going to move to Hawaii or Honolulu somewhere. It's fantastic. Hi, Jen, how are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. We've got Year 12 exams starting on Tuesday. So my daughter is studying and everybody's around the house is doing some work somehow. And yeah, so the year is nearly finished. The year is nearly gone. And, with God's grace, they will go through it and they will all be blessed.
Amen. They will be blessed. They've gone through a lot. I was talking to a friend of mine who is a teacher, and we were discussing about how come they're doing exams. They've been doing open book for the whole year, and all of a sudden they want to do exams. Like, really? But anyway, we don't know. That's their policy, and that's the way things work in the department. So we can't change it. We just wish all of them that are doing year 12 the best of luck and success in what they do. Fantastic. Right. My week has been good as well, but it's even good and better that we're talking authenticity. And our guest today, I was saying, I think it's a credit to you ladies to let you know you're doing good and you're doing well, because people want to sit and chat with you. And we're talking about learned practitioners, okay? So they want to sit down with you ladies. I think it's fantastic. And also, but we wait until they come, won't we? Let us wait until they come on. They will soon be coming on very, very shortly. But I need to say that I got my Noni products yesterday.
Oh, wow. Good on you. That's nice.
How could you? No. We're supposed to be getting it together.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That product is actually really good. The moisturizer is very soft and tender. And the night cream, it's brilliant. And even for the price, you're not going to go wrong. So there's no way I'm going to go back to Shiseido or any of those anymore. I'm sticking with Noni. And I just want to say thank you to our guests to date even, and particularly last week was fantastic about wellness. And I've been even more careful. It's been ringing in my ears all through the week. about wellness. And to Anna, I have got a lot of comments from people saying that little Anna, she's doing excellently well. And at 15, she's already developing a portfolio and a profile for herself. And she's real and she's young and she's beautiful. So well done to Anna. So that's going to be our hangout with Timmy Baby. And we're going to keep following that one up. And also, Liz, thank you for your creativity and your showcasing. And today I can see your earring dangling as well. That's from Liz's boutique. And
yeah, absolutely.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. So today we're going to have a gentleman called Asad Rana. And for our viewers, if they've been waiting, you better wait. Asad is my personal legal practitioner and he was my lawyer. So he's coming on the show today. And it's fantastic to have your lawyer on your show to talk about authenticity. So you got to be very confident to be able to bring your own lawyer. If you're not authentic, that would be a bit funny. But the other second person we're bringing is Mr. Bumi Ajayi. And of course, Bumi Ajayi is my husband. And coincidentally, his master's was in business law. So he's a lawyer in a way, an insurance guru in another way. And it's a privilege to be able to have these people come on our show. So I can't wait for them. And by the way, I haven't been discussing with him. I asked one question about authenticity and he gave me an answer to today. I don't know what the answer was. It just blew my mind. And I'm like, should I get a pen and paper and write it down? Oh, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to go any far. Don't bombard me with your grammar. I'm going to wait until I get forces with me. So I'm going to have all the ladies with me. So we're going to be able to tear all this, this apart when they come. So it's a privilege, ladies. And I just want to say, keep doing what you're doing because our best days are ahead of us. You're doing really well.
Lovely.
Credit. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope we're not going to be bombarded with legal jargons, please. Did you tell them they should bring their language down to the layman?
Please, we're talking about authenticity. So we're going to tell them this is us. Just tone it down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I'm not kidding. He answered one question, and I truly don't know what he said. It just blew my. It was just too. I don't know. I'm like, no, I don't want to give myself a headache. I've got people who's going to help me, so I won't be bothered. So I stopped. I never went into it. But I'll be very interested in knowing what is authenticity is, and I have an idea what I thought it is authenticity, and we don't agree in some way. So I thought, let's wait and see. Maybe that will come on today. So authenticity. We can't wait to have these people to come on. But before they come on, let me play our video and just to launch us calmly into this. 1 second. Welcome back. So, ladies, when you heard the word authenticity, what have you been thinking about? Let us start chatting before our guest comes on. Your guests come on. What have you been thinking about?
When the word authenticity to me just sounds like real and raw and true and
we've got one of our guests on.
Okay.
Let me bring Asad on. Hi, Asad.
Hearing me properly? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. 1 second, I'll bring Mr. Bumi Ajayi on the show as well. 1 second. He's joining in from his office. Mr. Bumi Ajayi, welcome on the show.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, how are you? Good to see everyone.
Thank you. Good to see
Is
you.
my,
How are you
is
doing?
my audio okay, or is there an echo somewhere?
Perfect. It's
Oh,
perfect.
fantastic. That's good.
It's perfect.
Asad, good to see you.
Yes. So
Very
lovely
good
to
to
have
see
you
you
with
too.
us. So we are so privileged and honored to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you for
It's a
having us
treat.
here. Thank you for having me. And Bhumi, you still owe me a game of squash whenever we can get to it.
Absolutely, and chess as well.
Yes, and
This
chess
is
as
what
well.
they
That's
do,
right.
squash and chess. Anyway, Azad, welcome to our show. It's a privilege to have you on the show. And would you be able to introduce yourself, please, to the audience so they know who you are? I already said that you are my personal lawyer and you've been a personal friend for a long, long time. But you're more than that to the community than we can fathom. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So my name is Asad Rana, and I am a principal lawyer for Amana Legal. Most of my work is in civil and criminal jurisdictions, but I also do migration law.
Yeah, that's not to say I'm a criminal. Thank you so much, Asad. Welcome to the show. Mr. Bumi Ajayi, would you please be able to introduce yourself? I know you, but the world want to know who you are.
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. I've been maybe one of the very first fans of this show, so it's good to see that the ladies hang out with you, Temi, on a weekly basis, but I hang out with you on a daily basis, 365 days. So, yeah, my name is Bumi Ajayi, and I'm an insurance practitioner and an entrepreneur, a minister of the gospel, and a husband, a father, and just someone who loves to see the best in others and make a difference in and around him. So that's as briefly as I can put it.
Your system was echoing a little bit, Bumi, but you heard him. You can see is a like I said, is holding masters of business law. So on the side of him is a lawyer, and so let us sit tight and see what these people are going to. They're going to blow us away. But thank you so much once again. We're not going to take time. We want to hear. We want to pull from you. We want to draw from you, and the ladies are ready. For you, ladies, for you guys. But we're just going to go straight to the topic. We're talking authenticity, and we're talking that we really need a real legal practitioner, a learned person, and that's why we said we bring Asad on the show to talk to us about authenticity. What is it? Does he operate in your book, Authenticity?
So I would have thought I'd give the philosopher a little bit of time before to explain the concept, because I really believe Bhumi Ajayi as an authentic person, but someone who believes in his philosophy. He's got a few very motivational notes that I've actually got from him as well. When I visited his office, if you go to his office, but it's not just, some people are there just for the speaking side of it. But with Bhumi, what I've seen is the practical implementation of what he says as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to step too much on the philosophical side. I think I'll leave that to Bhumi of what authenticity relates to and what it is.
Right.
But generally speaking, authenticity is just being general. It is a simple concept, but in terms of whether how to define it, for me the best definition is that does it feel natural for you to act in a certain way? If you feel that how you are acting and your conduct is natural, that is authentic. Now, the biggest group of humans, if you want to see as authentic group, is if you want to have a look, for instance, at children. The children are very close to nature. They're not influenced by issues like materialism, reward, and punishment, and those concepts are not really set in, especially when they're little. I say 3 to 5 years, and you will see how the children react to a certain thing. They always speak the truth most of the time. They're not fearful of consequences. They don't even understand the consequences. But in doing so, they become very authentic. Now, the second point I would raise is that the road to authenticity is paved with trials. So when you grow up and you go in your fields, you're professionals, it is not always that you'll have a reward if you're authentic. So there will be trials, and in terms of the reward, as a matter of fact, a story comes to my mind. Someone told me back in the days when I was working in a corporate, there was a turkey. It's more like a joke, really, but so don't forget to laugh after I finish. But
Well,
a turkey is basically sees a tree, and it starts to climbing it. And the turkeys don't climb the trees normally, but it sees cow dung at the roots of the tree, and it goes and pecks on it, eats a little bit, and goes and climbs the first branch. It gives him strength. So it comes back and has a little bit more of cow dung, and now goes to the next branch up. It does it 3 times, and the third time gets to the top of the tree after eating the cow dung. But once it gets to the top of the tree, there's a hunter looking for birds to hunt. So he sees the turkey on the top, shoots it, and the turkey obviously becomes prey. So the moral of the story is that bullshit can take you to the top, but it will not keep you there. You will fall down. So ultimately,
Yes.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's just a joke, and in that context, but authenticity to me is something that you cannot manufacture. It just comes. You've got to be able and ready to pay a price for it at times. In legal context, for example, some of the key authentic issues that general public will deal with and lawyers will have to deal with. The primary issues, firstly, is the cost. So when you go to a lawyer, the first thing that comes to your mind is going to end up taking my house, right? If it's a family law proceeding, or the bill is going to be so much that I don't even know. They tell me something else in the start, and by the time the trial is done and finished, it's an arm and a leg. An authentic law, and there's been a debate about how the cost disclosures that the lawyers do should be done, but obviously there's no right or wrong answer to that still. When I say there's no law, but obviously it is inbuilt in the, if you like, the training of a lawyer when they're becoming a training to act in a good, righteous way, to charge people properly and that sort of thing. The concept of fixed cost disclosures, for example, that is now is becoming more and more in demand from public as well. Where public sort of thinks like, at least give us an idea, a sort of a fixed idea. You can't tell me exactly what it is, but give me, within the ballpark figure. And these kind of contracts or cost disclosures not normally done by lawyers. They normally will give you by hours. So, they will say, okay, well, it's going to take, this case is going to take me 30 hours. But then, when the trial is over, you're looking at 300 hours, let's say. So this is one of the important, if you like, issues which relates to authenticity when it comes to legal profession. The other issues are things like, conflict of interest, for example, where you've acted for someone before, quite a bit of detail about that person, and you go and act against that person. So obviously it is very easy for you to find or know about the weaknesses of that party. The concept of conflict of interest, again, if you don't declare it to your client, you're not being an authentic person. If you're charging a client sums of monies which they could not even dream of at the start of the, let's say, litigation, then in that case as well, you're not being authentic. But being authentic also is accepting mistakes. So a lot of time when we make a mistake, and being human and making mistake go hand in hand. But if there is a mistake, then out of voluntariness, and not just because someone picked that mistake, if you go and say, look, I made that mistake, I'm going to fix it this way or that way, compensate in some way, that is, these are the three key areas that I think legal profession, I mean, if you're dealing with a lawyer, or if you know if you are a legal practitioner, these are things that you should keep in mind. In terms of the legal basis of it, there is a Victorian Law Reform Commission that said basically, and they came up with the Civil Procedure Act 2010, and part 2.3 of that now actually has got a set of overarching obligations. There's about 10 in general. The overarching duty of a lawyer is to the court, as opposed to, for example, to a client or to someone else or to himself. What it means is that it must act in the best interest of justice. Now, justice is an interesting thing. As a matter of fact, when I was a lawyer and I went back to see my father, who is in Pakistan, and I thought I was a lawyer and I know about justice and everything, and we went for a morning walk, and my father asked me, he said, son, what is justice? And I thought that's an easy answer for me. I mean, I'm a lawyer. My father is not a lawyer, so I can just tell him, look, he's basically dealing with, just making sure the rights of the people are, in line with whatever the laws of the country are, and that, your righteousness, your decisions are based on purity and they're not tampered with. And I'm going all about this. And he said, you know what it is? To me, he said, it's simply that things are put in the places where they're supposed to be. Now that was just one line, and I was like, how can you put? But then I thought about it. That's where the thought process starts, and I just realized that is the best definition of justice. That if someone's property belongs to that person, it should be the ownership of that person, and that is justice if the person has it. If on the other hand, no matter what court proceedings and whatnot you employ, and that person's right is taken from him, then it is not justice. So things like that, they sort of, I think, points to the, if you like, the philosophical background of justice, and authenticity sits right there with it. So I'll just quickly tell you.
Sorry, Ahmed, I'm going to hold you there because I've got a couple of things jotted down that somebody's mistakes has to be has to be pardoned. Is that what you said? Mistakes should be pardoned, and also you're talking about righteousness. That is really interesting to me, but because considering that they said that law is an ass, and then you're talking righteousness. So we're going to talk about what righteousness means in a minute. So I'm going to hold it there, Hassad, because I'm sure the questions the lady want to ask you is going to tailor towards righteousness, and how do you let off somebody off the hook, knowing quite well that they made a mistake according to you, and then you still put them, and your daddy's definition, put them in the right place. What is right place? We're going to go there. Let me get Mr. Bumi Ajayi to come on shortly, please, because we got our own questions and we got our own scenarios that we're going to give to you to define. Thank you so much, Hassad. Righteousness. I'm holding on.
Can I just suggest, Temi, if Bumi is talking, maybe you can switch off your microphone so that we eliminate the echo.
That's a good idea. All right, much better. Thank you, Hassad. That was very deep and a lot of legal angle to look at what authenticity really means. But I'll take it from a slightly different angle. I think I agree with everything Hassad has said from that viewpoint, but I also think that authenticity means when somebody chooses, because it needs to be a choice now. When you choose to live life from your true north, that's a fixed point or a fixed spot in a spinning world. Your true north is your guidance system. It's that very core belief that you hold, and you live life from that point. So that you measure everything you do from the point of that true north. And every one of us has got it. We're products of our nature and of our nurture, our environment, how we grow up, and everything else define who we are and who we become. But sometimes the world we find ourselves in these days of social media has made people try to be who they really are not. And that's why it's becoming more and more difficult to be truly authentic. Authenticity also would mean that you from a place of purpose, not a place of popularity. Not that you don't really care about what people say, but it's not what guides your actions and inactions and what you think, what you believe, and what you do. So it is, if you look at it, it's like I am, so I do. I am, so I do. It's not a case of I do, so I can become. So whatever you do in life, you do it from your very core. This is me, and then you do from that point, rather than you do things because you want to become this. A lot of people live life. They don't live their own life. They're living other people's life. Some people are married to other people's husbands or wives. Some people they wear other people's clothes. Some people are kind of just like vicariously live other people. You want to be like, the superstars. You want to be like this, forgetting that you have a place in life where unique human beings, where unique, and no other person can be you. So I think we need to get to a point as a people, as humanity, where we know that everybody everywhere loses out when somebody somewhere fails to be who they really are. We need to have a
Mr. Sorry.
whereby we need
Sorry, Bumi. I actually don't want to miss a bit of your what you're telling. I don't want to miss anything, and I don't know why the interaction, because you're in your office, you're not that close to me, so I don't know why there's still an interaction. I don't want to miss anything. I really don't want to. Ladies, do you?
No, I actually love the angle where Boom is going. I just love that, and the idea of true north is real, is who you are, and this is just amazing. Thank you for that. Yeah, how are we going to manage doing this when we just want to hear? It's very difficult to hear.
Yeah, Bumi is very difficult to. So you might need to move your location. And
okay. All
sorry.
right. I'll just get myself off. I'll relocate while outside, and maybe you can keep the discussion. I'll be back in 2.
All right.
Okay.
Fantastic. My oh my, this is unbelievable, ladies. Okay, I'm gonna leave the floor for you to just go ahead.
Okay. I had a question to Asad with regards to the general perception that lawyers are liars. How I'm trying to understand that against the background of authenticity, and also looking at what you have presented to us. It's absolutely contrary to that perception. I must call it a perception. What do you have to say to that? Are lawyers really liars? Sometimes as the community members, we really know that the person that the lawyers get off the hook is really guilty. But we see how the lawyer brings that person off the hook, and the person roams the streets, freely. And that confirms, I should say, our perception of the fact that they really lie. Do you can you explain that to us?
Look, I'll just say, so there has to be a distinction drawn between criminal and civil jurisdiction for that question. civil jurisdiction, like I said, has got the Civil Procedure Act under Part 2.3. There's about 10 different, and being honest, being transparent, and all that sort of thing. There are overarching obligations now on Victorian lawyers at the minimum, but overall as well. When you talk about the criminal side of things, it is, look, if the example you said was, if someone is guilty, a lawyer goes there and defends them and gets them out. Look, I mean, these are people's perceptions, and obviously in every industry you have people, I mean, all five fingers are not equal, so you'll have people who are going to act, you know, in breach of their obligations or in breach of authenticity, if you like. But then what needs to be seen is the process that a person goes through. So if someone is guilty, for example, goes to a lawyer does not know whether the person is guilty or not until a lawyer can say, can see actual evidence before him or her. Now, the presumption in the modern jurisdiction and in the justice system is, as you know, innocent until proven guilty. So there are a lot of variables in this, you know, how this guilty person comes out on the street. The media is one of them. The media may portray a person as guilty, but in effect, that person may not be guilty. The police prosecution, how they have prepared their case. If their case is based on weak evidence, then in public interest, a magistrate or a judge needs to decide based on evidence whether there is enough beyond reasonable doubt evidence to convict that person or not. Because otherwise you'll see that if, for example, circumstantial evidence or evidence that's not a clear cut, if you like, prima facie is the term used sometimes, but if there's not enough evidence, then obviously that would be wrong as well to convict someone. So benefit of doubt is given, but that is, I'm talking about prosecution's preparation of the case and the evidence and how it comes about. Now, if a lawyer knows that a person is guilty, for example, if someone comes and he says that, yes, I am guilty, or makes admission to the lawyer, then it's incumbent on that lawyer, in my opinion, to say to the person, well, you know, I can act for you, but you will plead guilty, and then I can put in some mitigating circumstances or some other evidence around why it happened, how the conduct happened, and, you know, and basically try to get you some based on, and some people actually have that, have those reasons, mitigating circumstances. For example, everyone's brought up is not the same, right? So some people might come from war-torn areas where they have seen a lot of death, a lot of blood, and they're not going to have the same mental perception of what is wrong, although they know what is wrong and right. But these kind of circumstances, the psychological side of it, the human behavior side of it, all of these things need to be taken account when it comes to sentencing of some person. But conviction is separate, obviously. So when the person walks out, it is not just the defense lawyer who has played a role in it. There's many other factors, you know, the police prosecution, the view of the judge or the magistrate, you know, the psychological evaluation of the person, and many other factors of bringing up and the education and all this sort of thing is relevant when keeping into account, when giving a sentence to somebody, to a certain individual. I mean, I hope that answers your question. But in terms of all lawyers, no, all wouldn't act, you know, contrary to authenticity. There will be lawyers who obviously take their role, and they understand that it's a social role which has impacts on the public interest as well, generally, and they should act rightfully. Yes.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. You see, that's some of the things that we will not know why the rationale for their action, why they behave the way they behave. Because what you just said, what is right in Australia here might not be right to somebody that is coming from non-speaking English background. There's the language, the yes in some other country is a no in this country. So there could be intervention to all these things that we don't know of. But that says it all. And you are a good lawyer, Asad, and I know you are reasonably, because I know that you don't exploit people. You've done many cases for me that have been convicted. I'm serious. But look, Assad is a good man, and I trust you. As a lawyer. So, but I've got a question that I was going to ask Bumi because he was talking about social media. Did you hear that? He was saying something that people portray social media is not about popularity, it's about purpose. How do you define popularity and how do you define somebody's purpose? So I don't think you can be in your own house and determine somebody's purpose unless you're that person. So I believe that personally, people do what people do for a reason best known to them. And this is one of the things that I mostly disagree with, because a lot of people stay behind the camera in their houses or wherever they are, and they determine the reason why you're doing what you're doing on social media. You see, I don't think it's for any person to say what's your purpose and what. If people want to go on social media and do whatever they do, it's their duty and it's their social responsibility, so to say. And he mentioned something which I like. I don't know if Bumi is with us. Are you with us now, Bumi?
Yes, I had to go to the back of the house. Sorry, there might be some wind, but it's okay.
We can hear you. So I was just speaking on you, Bumi, if you can hear me, about when you were talking about people on the social media, for example, for either for popularity or for purpose. So I was trying to talk into that how do people know what popularity and what purpose somebody's purpose were? So I think authenticity is about being non-judgmental. You see, it's about being non-judgmental, and that's where I want us to go to. Again, we say all lawyers are liars, all lawyers are this, but you don't know the reason why lawyers have acted the way they have acted. Some lawyers could be crooks, but not all lawyers, like in any profession. So these are some stereotype is what on is what we disabuse, is what we break, not wanting to. And I think that is being authentic, And I was last week we were talking about wellness. One of the characteristics of being well is intellectual. So intellectual sanity means you're in the process of becoming, you're learning, you're open to learn and open to be accepting. And I think that will liberate us, that will set us free. So ladies, you want to talk about social media, because that's a big thing that people are saying. People on social media, they just make things up, or they just, what do you reckon? What do you say to that, Liz?
I want to suggest that Bumi concludes, his introduction, because that was rather interesting. And if we can hear all of it, we will be able to form an opinion.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sure where I lost everyone, so I'll just recap briefly. I know we're racing against time. I see authenticity as operating from a place of your core, where you have everyone. We've all got a guidance principle, which is the moral compass, where we operate from, which defines who we are based on our nature and nurturing environment, family of origin. There's a whole lot of factors that define who we are. So when you operate from a place of authenticity, operating from a fixed point in a spinning world, which means whatever decision you want to make, you gauge it, you filter it from that prism of does it align with my core values? So the first thing you've got to have a set of core values that are really unique to you, and then you operate from that point of view. And we can spread this as a spectrum. You can spread it all over, spiritual, practical, relational, all of that stuff. So that's one thing. So you do things, you do because you are. I am who I am because of that. I don't do in order to become. So that means I'm not living somebody else's life. Many times people, and some of these things are very much unconscious. You just feel, well, everyone is doing it. Let me feel it. Like this FOMO syndrome, the fear of missing out. And then I touched on social media, why people want to belong. How many of likes determine and validity of who they are. So first of all, you've got to know who you are. That's so once you know who you are, then you can begin to operate from that. Then you're more authentic. And by the way, you don't have to be a good person.
Oh, sorry, B. We missed that. We missed that. Sorry. I think the wind is disturbing. What a shame.
You do not have to be a good person to be authentic. You don't have to be. Authenticity, it's not about perfection. Authenticity is not perfectionism. So you don't have to be perfect to be. Oh, you can't hear anything? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but the wind, and we feel a shame. What are we going to do today?
Okay, I'll probably get a headphone.
Okay, maybe that's better. While you're getting your headphone, let us watch this video. 1 second. 1 second, we'll be back. Watch the video.
Dead do us part.
Till death do us part.
Amen.
Oh, gosh.
Angela K. Repeat that statement. I, Angela K.
Angela K. Dean.
Take you.
Take you.
Kendi Ileswami Michael.
Kendi Ilisimi Michael.
To be my lawful husband.
To be my lawful husband.
To love and to obey. To
What?
love and to obey.
What?
Yes.
To
To love and to obey.
Obey what?
Obey your
love.
And
husband.
obey who?
Okay, welcome back. The ladies have watched this. I don't know if Asad has seen this before.
I haven't, but it's quite interesting.
Okay.
I guess feminism is everywhere, and it is one of the things that should be appreciated in its right context. So the question is, who should I obey? It's a valid question, and what should I obey?
As a lawyer, I mean, you obey. And I just brought that video to say, when the last time I was talking, we were chatting about this video. I remember clearly that Liz said, this woman said the right thing in a wrong context. So would that be authentic though? Would that be authentic, Asad? Because this is our coming. I highly define authenticity as raw. Okay, so she's coming very raw, very innocent, as you said, like a kid. She just doesn't know to obey what, to obey who. But some of us, we've been conditioned, with little lies by saying, pretend, conform. I think that woman is so good because she's coming with no premonition. That I think she's authentic. But what do you think? Now that after that, we're talking about authenticity. Liz, do you think she's still saying the right thing in the wrong context?
Look, Asad mentioned that the road of authenticity is paved with trials. So if she was authentic to herself, she had no concept of what was going to come after making that statement, or even the perception people would form by virtue of her being authentic. On the contrary, I think she wasn't well prepared for the moment, because in that context where she was, that's not a question you stand in and try and provoke a conversation. There, you have to say what you have to say and get it over and done with. So I think she wasn't prepared for that, particularly considering that it was an intercultural ceremony. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt that she wasn't, prepared about the intercultural settings of the event. But otherwise, I think her authenticity there has definitely paved a few trials for her.
Okay, Heidi, what do you reckon? But at least reckon you have to prepare, you have to be ready. And You say authenticity is about being raw, is about being who you are. What do you say to that video?
I think she just has a really negative connotation to the word obey. Because there is nothing wrong with the word obey. I obey my children, not even my husband. I obey my children. They say, "Mom, I'm hungry. Can you make me food?" I go and make food. I'm not sure what obey means to her, but obviously obey to her means something really bad. She has really negative connotations to the word obey. I wear a mask when I go out. I hate masks, but I obey the rules. And I'm happy to do that. They tell me don't take your dog to the park because this park has no dogs. I'm happy to obey. I have no problems obeying because I believe that the world is run by rules. And I'm happy to be obeying these rules. And but that's part of me being authentic to the regulations and to everything around me. It's not like, that the rules here in Australia are different than the rules in Egypt. Does that mean that I am not authentic here and I'm not authentic there, or either or? It's okay. Like, I think she just overreacted. She was crying. She must be, very emotional. And then all of a sudden she hears a word that she has negative connotation to. She overreacted. But that was her authentic reaction, which is all good.
Did you say that was our authentic reaction?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because when you say you obey your children, I think you obey the law and you might consent to your children. But let's get the lawyer in. What do you make of the lady's discourse about this, the lady, about the woman in the wedding?
Look, just I'll make very quick compliment because that's an area I think more for Heidi, Liz, and Bhumi. But I mean, she didn't break any law there. But look, in terms of authenticity, I think she was being authentic because she wanted to understand the question and what's expected of her, rather than just nodding and saying, yes, I will do whatever. So questioning, I mean, she might have, if it's been explained to her that this is a tradition and everything, she might have just said yes anyway. But that's the concept. Look, it's in different cultures and how things progress. Morality itself, for example, unless there's a fixed pivotal point for a morality is fluid. And I'll give you an example. Homosexuality, for example, in Australian law, if you go back 30 to 40 years, maybe 40 years ago, it was actually a crime to be homosexual. But right now, the parliament has said, yes, you can even have same-sex marriages. I mean, I don't know of anyone who was actually prosecuted for being a homosexual in the last 30, 40 years. But the point is that morality has shifted based on public opinion. And what was immoral 40 years ago, 50 years ago, is now considered okay. So in that context, there was a culture shock for that woman. I think, she just needs to be explained, but her reaction was authentic, I think.
Welcome, Bhumi. So sorry about this.
That's all right. That's fine. Can you hear me now?
It sounds better.
I think it might has to do with your laptop rather than the environment. But because it doesn't matter where you go, it's in. But let's try again. You were saying something before that to be authentic, you don't need to be good.
You don't need to be perfect. I meant to say, you don't need to be perfect is the word, because we're all striving towards perfection. Authenticity, it's not will not be a destination. I think it's always going to be a journey. It's a process. We're all trying to get better, and I think the important thing is to be real. And comment on that video clip, I also agree that the lady was authentic in her own way. That's her truth. That's her lived experience. If she had known what the context of the vows were, she would have understood it in a better way and probably responded more positively. So I believe she was authentic. And can I also just give an example about just from a a scriptural point of view, because that's part of who I am as well. I think it's required to get some examples from that. In scriptures, we're told that in the book of Revelation that there was a message to the churches. So there was the church of Laodicea, which says that I would rather that you're either hot or you're cold, but never lukewarm. Okay, so that means that whether you're hot or cold, that's acceptable, but don't be in the middle. Don't live life from the middle zone. That's exactly what it is. Don't live life from the know what they're getting. And the same thing cuts across whether you're in business, whether you're in relationship. You don't have to be perfect, but be real, be vulnerable. Let people know exactly what it is. So, is my audio still acting up?
I think it's your laptop, and it's so painful that we can't get everything that is really painful. But I think, yeah, because I personally, I decided not to hear anything that you have to say about this. I want to be blown away as usual by your wisdom, but I'm missing out on it, and it's really painful. But let us go. I've got a scenario that I want to paint here. Okay, there is a guy that I know personally. He became a faithful, a righteous person, became a born again. And so one day he decided he was going to tell his boss that he's been conning them, he's been swindling people, he's been doing so. He went and told the boss everything that he's done wrong in the organization, because now he wants to confess his sins and he wants to be a good person. Needless to say that he was sacked anyway. He was sacked and nobody was going to accept him. So I was thinking about this being authenticity, but however, Bumi said you don't need to be righteous, but it could be that person's righteousness. That is the way of him coming to himself now, of being real to himself in a way. So he did that. So I'm looking at, how does society accept authenticity? I know that Asad says something that there could be a cost to pay, and sometimes this cost could be really painful. Could be huge amounts of cost you have to pay, which we all know as a faithful people that eventually it's better anyway to just go through the pain, because the truth will always be the icing of the cake. But how are people perceiving or and supporting people to be authentic in this life? With this scenario that I painted, how hard it is, and what experiences have you had, in the past as well, that prevents people? Like sometimes you make your resume really big and attractive in a job that you can physically, you cannot, or mentally, you cannot even support. But you lie because you want to get it, because if you don't lie, you never get anywhere. So how can we continue to encourage or to preach this word, or to support people in this whole world to be authentic, to be their authentic self, because it's so hard to be very authentic, So how can we go about doing that? I want to say something as well quickly. Even when we say to our children, when you go to Heidi's house, don't eat. We're teaching them little lies. I don't want you to eat there because I don't trust them. And so how can that kid grow up to know what authenticity? The child is hungry and really want to eat. It's not that Heidi is going to poison them, or there's something you just probably think, maybe Heidi is Hindu. You don't want to eat Hindu's food. This kid is innocent. All the kid needs to do is to bless the food and eat it. It's okay. Nothing will harm the kid if God has not destined that this child is going to die with Heidi's food. So we put little lies innocently. And so I think that is where we begin to lose authenticity, So I really want us to talk into how can we as people continue to live a life of authenticity, because I think this is really hard. Bumi said it's a journey, it's not a destination. So I think it's a journey, but we need to start talking about it. Can you share a light ID into how people can continue, to disabuse or to, you know what I mean?
Look, I believe that to be totally radically honest with yourself, okay, and to know, like what Boone shared, you have to know who you are. You must know who you are and have the courage to actually share yourself to the world and to show everybody who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in. So it does take courage, and it's not something that comes easy. And it's really up to you to take the battle, because it's who you are and you stand up for yourself. I tell my girls all the time, it doesn't matter what the world is saying. You can be against the world. It's like when first they found out that the earth is actually round. The first person that said that, they were attacked. What do you mean? They were cast away because they said something that wasn't known to be true to everybody else. But they were true. They were right. And at the end of the day, I think that the truth will find its way. And someone's truth should be always on display.
Can't hear you, Tammy.
Sorry. Thank you. Liz, how can we continue to be authentic people?
Yeah, I want to zoom in by what Bumi was saying about purpose and popularity, because authenticity is who you are for you. The minute you want to portray a person that is going to be accepted, you are on a popularity race, and you are not being authentic, therefore. So if you stand up for who you are, if you come out in a particular setting as this is me right now, and this is what I stand for in this particular aspect. Because remember, as human beings, we wear different hats. Sometimes you are a mother, other times you are, a head of a certain community, and other times you are mentoring somebody, and so it goes into different settings. And therefore, your truth at different settings would be kind of different, if I can put it that way, because of the office that you are standing in. So if you have to stand up as your true self, as a mother, for instance, your true self at that community platform, then you standing in your purpose. You are true to yourself. That's authenticity for me. When you look at what are the people going to say, is this going to be acceptable? You want to compromise in order to fit the situation. You want to conform in order to be liked by the opposition. Then you have lost it. And I think that's, how I want to respond to your question.
Fantastic. So it's a journey, and we don't need to want to conform. We don't need to wanting to be acceptable, and that is the opposite of inauthenticity anyway. But one thing I want to actually mention here was there was a time that I was extremely inauthentic, or can you call that even stupidity or something? Like kind of stupidity. I'll tell you, this is when we just came to Australia. I was doing Mary Kay skincare at Avon, and there was a day I went to one of my clients. She always patronizes me. She buys things from me, and I was trying to support and my husband at the time. So I needed to make sales. This woman always buys things from me. Her husband is a limousine driver. They own limousine. And they hire that out. So I went to deliver something, and every now and then, this woman, we asked the husband to drop me at home because my house is not far from her. So I walk from her house. So I walk there. So this time, And Bumi just bought a car. This was in 1999. The car is Hyundai Grand Jeep. In 1999, that car looks like a limousine. It was beautiful. So I drove the car to deliver this product. Listen to my story. So I delivered the product in the money to go. She dropped me because it was going. And the car, I didn't want them to see that my beautiful car. I thought if this woman knows that I have limousine like her, similarly, she might not even buy my product anymore. See mentality. And so I got home and walked back to pick my car. That is good for a movie right there. Do you get my story? I walked back to my client's house to pick my car up because I did not want her to know I've got this luxury car. I thought from where I'm coming from, they think you have arrived. So if you got the car like me, I'm not going to patronize you anymore. You see? So I said that to say you need to keep growing and to be mentally well. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes your nurture, your culture can make you like Hassad said, ignorantly stupid and not being authentic. I didn't know that in Australia, no one cares. They're going to patronize you, they're going to patronize you anyway. But from where I'm coming from, they're not going to patronize you. You're at par with me now. There's no point buying things. So my story is just to bring to our awareness that you can be ignorantly stupid. You can be ignorantly inauthentic. So it's about being aware and test your operations with litmus paper. Test every activity and your actions with litmus paper. What is the motive behind what I'm doing? Even if she's not going to patronize me, who cares? Why do I have to pretend as if I didn't have a car or I didn't have a good car? That's my story. Anybody has got any story about not being inauthentic that you found out about yourself? Please, have you had any story that you found out and you have now grown past? Because now I've grown past that. You don't care now. You just have to know who True Temi is. You take it or you leave it. So that's being aware of who you are and whose you are. Any story, please, that you've got and that you've gotten past the hurdle.
Yeah, I do have a story. I also have a question for Bumi, and I'm conscious of our time, so I don't know which way to go.
Go ahead.
My story basically, or what I would want to ask probably is, as you have said, Temi, with regards to our qualifications, sometimes you remove some of your qualifications because you want to be accepted for a particular role. Am I being inauthentic if I do that? Because on the other hand, I know that if I add all my qualifications, I will not get the role that I'm applying for. Is that wisdom or is that being inauthentic?
The question is for Bumi.
Okay.
Now, this is just general, but I've got Bumi's question also.
All right. Yeah, I can comment on that as well. And that's a very common one because you find a lot of people do their resumes and CV, and nobody would ever present a resume for a job application and put a reference for someone who is going to give them a bad reference. I've never seen that. So it makes really nonsense of the whole process of, getting reference. You only put a manager that you work with that will have good things to say about you, and you also talk up yourself. You talk up yourself in the sense that you let them know, look, I've got attention to details, I'm very trustworthy, I'm punctual, and all of that stuff. I've never seen a resume that says, look, I'm going to come late to work every day. I'm not going to be this, I'm not going to be that. So that's a part. And what I would say to that is that I wouldn't think, like I said, you don't need to be perfect. I think there's a bit of wisdom there, and you haven't really lied. You just have not told the whole truth. You haven't lied. You just said these are common, because some jobs don't even need your higher qualifications anyway.
True.
You know what I mean? So I would think it's a journey. Like I said, it's a journey. So you just feel that you have the best chance of getting this job by just giving what they need. If they ask for more, then you can give that. There's nothing saying that in your resume you got to give them every little thing, whatever. Of course, then that means you're going to be writing pages and stuff like that. So you haven't lied, but you haven't told the whole truth. So there's a fine line there. And I think everyone is entitled to their opinions, but not everyone is entitled to their own facts, if you know what I mean. So that's the way I would look at it. If specific questions are asked, which is a black and white or wrong or right, then of course you've got to, be very upfront. You say whatever it is. But other than that, it's a matter of, a number of these things are very subjective, and it's a matter of opinion. You can present, say, well, I'm a very good operator on my job. That's subjective. That's your opinion. Other people might think you're not. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. It's just your opinion. And it depends on what you're looking at. So it's something that everyone is guilty of one way or another. I think we've all had to, for instance, I'll give you an example. You go to a place, you maybe a function, a party, and they serve some food. You realize that the food doesn't appeal to you. But in order not to offend the host, you tell them, sorry, I'm not really hungry. Can I just have salad? But really, it's like you really find the food disgusting, or it's not really, but you don't want to offend. So that's wisdom, because not every space is a safe space. So okay. I don't think that's not being authentic, because otherwise, where's the place for wisdom? I mean, I'll wait to see what Asad or any of the ladies have to say to that. But that would be my own angle of viewing it.
We'll go. I'll go with wisdom. I'll go in terms of that, because you have not exaggerate. You've actually reviewed. So if you exaggerate, then you're preparing yourself to, for a downfall. But removing it, I think there's not that's okay.
What do you think, Asad and Heidi? What's your opinion?
Yeah, I agree.
On that disclose on their resume, even though they don't have to. I might feel that the particular job only needs a first degree, so I don't need to put that I've got a PhD or something. That's not. I don't think I should be penalized for that.
Asad,
especially when you know that if you put your PhD, you might not get it anyway. You're overqualified.
Yeah, I mean, in legal context, things are different, because in law, I was referring to the civil jurisdiction, where we have these overarching obligations, and one of the obligations is you must disclose things which are obviously substantial or may have substantial effect on. So for us lawyers, there is not much to do. Not much to hide behind. We have to disclose in the best interest of the court, best interest of the matter being resolved and whatnot. But in the ordinary context, I agree with you. I mean, if you go to someone's house and you don't like the food, or there is something contrary to what you expect, it's part of wisdom to sort of still taste a little bit, just so that out of courtesy, obviously. And a lot of these issues also go to, I mean, a person's own personal beliefs, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and that sort of thing as well. For instance, for Muslims, I'm a Muslim, so for us, we take guidance from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in how he acted and how he did things, and he definitely would honor his host and even if it doesn't like the food, he would do. So spirituality and I think religion and these kind of connotations are important in that decision. I don't think it's a black and white decision, unfortunately.
Can I ask my question to Bumi? Okay. With regards to acting from your core, acting from your true north, I wanted to know, as we grow up, obviously, our values, the first values, I don't know if I should call them first, but the basis of our values come from those who are raising us. Mm-hmm. So as I grow up, and as you rightly say, it's a journey. Am I going to be inauthentic when I all of a sudden feel like I don't want to do what my mother has taught me to do, for instance, and all of a sudden I want to do my own thing. I've discovered for instance, like what can we say? A particular meal or particular perfume or a particular scent that we probably burn in the house, and I don't like this one that my mother is giving to me. Am I being inauthentic by going my way? If I have been raised in a particular way by my parents, where do I draw the line when I want to be me versus how I was raised? What do you can you say something to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're being inauthentic by going your way and not going the way you've been raised. There's a reason you've chosen. I remember, I don't know if you heard when I started, I said it's really a choice. You choose to be something, and then we're all on a journey. Every human being of self-discovery. Sometimes what you learn growing up is not what you will hold up to, even when you're grown. Things change, and I think Asad mentioned that as well. Based on new discoveries, new realities, new environments, new, when you live with an open mind, you get to understand things in a better way. And then as you know better, you do better. There is a reason why you chose not to do the things the way your mom taught you. So as a matter of fact, that is actually being authentic to yourself, not being authentic to your mom, because you're not your mom. They're just there to bring you up, to groom you, to start you out in life and give you those boundaries based on their understanding at the time. And these things are very fluid. They change. Depends on, advancement in things. The world is a very dynamic space. Things are changing. People are moving on. So you begin to learn things, and the core may not change in terms of wrong and right, but the way you look at life will be tainted by the new realities of our times. 20 years ago, that was, not a whole lot about internet. Now it's different realities. So the things that you say, oh, I'm never going to do that, you find that now you're beginning to do things which you thought maybe, 20, 25 years ago, you would not have done. I remember growing up in Nigeria, there was a time when some religious said they would not even allow anyone to watch television. Now some of those pastors are the ones on TV, on social media, on everything. So things change, but it doesn't mean that we're wrong. It was just the limit of the information available to you on the revelation at the time. That was why. Let me quickly add something, which is a bit of a story. I'll take that from the scriptures as well, just to buttress what I meant the last time I said that sometimes you need to apply wisdom. There's a story in the scriptures about a couple. It's called Ananias and Sapphira. So they sold the land, and it was a communal living, whereby everybody will sell what they have, they'll put it together, and they can feed the poor, look after the widows, and look after each other, like a Commonwealth mindset. So, but this couple, they decided that when they sold theirs, they were not going to declare the full amount. And the husband came in and under-declared, and which was obviously a lie. That's not allowed, and that's not being authentic at all. Instantly, he was struck dead. And the wife, obviously, it wasn't something that spur of the moment. They had planned it before. The wife also came in and corroborated what the husband had said. Meanwhile, if they had said, I sold it for 10,000, but I'm only willing to give 5,000, nothing would have happened. You know, they were not under any compulsion to declare the full thing. They would have said, well, look, we sold it for 10,000, but we need 5,000 to look after the home or whatever it is. We can only give this. That would have been fine, but they chose to lie. And that's not appropriate. Obviously, I practice in a field where utmost good faith, which is uberrima fides, is very important, which means there's got to be full disclosure and stuff like that. Whether you've declared, whether you've had any incident in the past, that's obviously you've got to go full and disclose. But we're talking of areas where it would not have made a difference anyway, and you just feel that you are not under legal obligation or any even moral obligation to disclose. It's just a choice. It's okay, that's fine. Sometimes you may not even need to say anything. You know, you can just decide to be silent on certain things. So if that's okay, then you can use the wisdom that in that sense. But where you're meant to have an obligation to full disclosure, of course, you really do need to do that. And it's a very serious thing. The issue of authenticity, this is the last point I'll make, because I'm conscious of time. The issue of authenticity is very important, whereby I also draw from, sorry, I don't mean to go on, but I also draw from the scriptures, whereby we see all through the scriptures that everywhere Jesus went, he was blessing people and he was, doing the right thing and loving people. But there was only one time that he caused something, and that thing was a fig tree. And what was the offense of it? It wasn't that the fig tree was this thing, was because he had advertisement, which is the very core of what we're talking about. He had leaves, and in that time when you have leaves, it meant that you would have fruits. But on looking at it, there was leaves showing that, yes, look at me, I'm this way. But in actual fact, it was a pretense. It was false advertisement. And we can look at that in business as well. I see businesses where they're not being real. They tell people it's one thing, they overpromise and underdeliver, and all of that's being inauthentic in business. And we can stretch that out. So I'll stop that. I'll stop there.
Oh my gosh! We have never even gone past time for a long time. If we're gonna go past, it'll be like 5 minutes or 3 minutes. Today we've gone 80 minutes over, just because of these people, the caliber of people that we have, the wisdom that we have on this show. What are we gonna do, ladies? We have to close the show because the time is not on our side, and there's a whole lot that we want to share with you, but unfortunately we have to go. We're gonna get these people back. We're gonna find a way to get, because we haven't even scratched the surface yet, as you can see. And unfortunately, the sound is just, there's too much distraction today that we're supposed to have one of our best shows ever. But before we go, we're gonna let you give us your last word. One word for us to encourage us to continue to be our authentic self. So please give us one word before we go.
I'll just quickly say that it's a very good initiative, and I've seen some of your programs about single parents and single parenting as well. To issue the matters of society and how it affects certain people, it sort of gives people obviously different perceptions of, or perspectives of, and addresses their perceptions about how certain things should be understood. So I really commend your efforts, all of you, and wish you all the best. And thank you for having me. The last word about authenticity, I'd say, is that, look, I mean, like Bubi said, quite succinctly, I'd say, it is not perfection, and it is not underperformance. It is somewhere in between. And it's something that we strive to always. And if you don't make it there, let's accept that and try our best. I think that's what, from my point of view, and that would be the gist of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mr. Bumi Ajayi, your last word.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't have the best of technology today, so maybe next time it will be better. But thank you for having me on the show. I've really enjoyed every bit of it, even the previous episodes. You guys are ticking all the boxes. You're doing well, and show your viewership continue to increase all around the world. People are being encouraged and challenged and helped. with the quality of the programming and the quality of the discussions that you bring. And I know that your best days are still ahead of you. One thing I would say, I would just take it was a quote from Frank Fanon, who said that everyone is born with a purpose. We either fulfill it or we betray it. So my last word to people is, don't be scared to be different. Don't be scared to be yourself. It doesn't matter. Your difference is your destiny. Be authentic.
Wow, thank you so much. See, Heidi, I think we lost Liz somehow.
Yeah. It's been a beautiful show today, and thank you so much to our guests. You've been a pleasure, and we're very honored to have you both here. I would say that to me, authenticity is as much as I can being true to myself, my true self, and being courageous with integrity, honesty, and checking all the time within myself. And I think the checkpoint is my consciousness. And the more I go towards there, the more I am being authentic to who I am.
Yeah, that's true. That's fantastic. Thank you. Liz, are you with us? Liz, are you with us? Your last word before we go. I think the crackling is coming from you now. Liz, can you hear us? Liz, can you hear us? Oh dear. Liz, can you hear us? All right, we have to wrap up, and I will catch up with Liz later. Thank you so much. And like I said, I truly, truly appreciate my husband for letting me be who I am, and for being my authentic self. And like you said, it's a journey, and it's an awareness, being aware, sensitive to yourself. And like I said, test every act and action with litmus paper and see what it is. Even if it's going to cost you anything, if it's going to cost you, you need to strive to be your authentic self, because otherwise, I don't think you can fulfill destiny. If you're holding on to something that God don't want you to hold on to, when there's a bigger vision for you in the future, you're just going to be delaying your fulfillment and your success in life. I cannot say more than that. I just want to say thank you so much. On this show, there's no prejudices, there's no condemnation at all. We want to learn, we want to grow, we want to share, with people. We don't want to close because then you don't receive and then you don't grow, and so you wither. For us, it's wellness and it's beauty. Thank you so much, Asad, for your time. We cannot even pay you. You charge per hour. Imagine if you're charging us. Our show cannot even pay that. We appreciate it. I know. I appreciate you so much for doing that. Until the next time, we're going to find a time to bring you back next time. Thank you so much. We appreciate you from all the ladies on Hanging Out with Temi. For our viewers, we hope you have learned. We're not saying we got it all. We're just saying we're growing and we're achieving one step at a time. God bless you as you be with us. Until next time, we say bye-bye for now. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
I will catch up with Liz just a minute.
Catch up with you soon.
Catch up with you soon. Okay, bye-bye. Please.